Miyauchi from Japan. I'm doing my PhD in sociology at the University of Iowa. I'm a current Fulbright international student, came to US in the last summer 2023. Before I start my PhD, I was working as a consultant in the financial industry. I have always wanted to return to academia, and the Fulbright program gave me that push. My research theme is Korean racism in modern Japan. I believe that race, ethnicity, and national borders are all social constructs and symbolic boundaries, but their consequences are far from symbolic. They carry the weight of real oppression. Racism in every society have both common and unique aspects. As a sociologist, I aim to conceptualize and empirically analyze both the particularities of the othering of Koreans in Japan and its aspects as a universal phenomenon of racism, xenophobia, and prejudice. The why of my work, in other words, what motivated me to pursue this career, is because this is a necessary fight for me to live. I'm half Korean and half Japanese. Although I only have Japanese citizenship, I was born in Seoul, South Korea, to a Korean mother and a Japanese father. Therefore, as a half Korean living in Japanese society, studying Korean racism in Japan is not just an academic pursuit, but a deeply personal question. Why do people find sources of prejudice and hatred in differences in nationality and ethnicity? This is a question I have asked myself throughout my life. However, my career path has not been straight. Initially, I was concerned with development studies, such as poverty and inequality. I believe I've always been attuned to the aspects of social conflict. This may stem from my positionality as a woman or my standpoint as an ethnic minority. In any case, I was initially focused on the field of international development. To gain practical experience, I obtained a master's degree in development studies and then worked for a consulting firm. Yet it seems that the issue of Korean discrimination was deeply ingrained in me, almost like a curse. While I tried to blend in with the majority and enter places of power, I found myself too aware to maintain the insensitivity required to live in disguise. Experiencing daily prejudice, discrimination, and microaggressions, I felt powerless. Eventually, I suffered from mental health issues and took a leave of absence. At that point, I turned to a former mentor from my undergraduate days, a Fulbright alumna, for advice. At the time, I wasn't firmly resolved to pursue a career in sociological research, but somewhere deep down, I instinctively knew that gaining the concepts and language to articulate the oppression and exclusion I felt was my path to liberation. Paulo Freire spoke of education for the oppressed, and for me, education was precisely that. My mentor encouraged me and introduced me to another sociology professor who was also a Fulbrighter. In retrospect, is a remarkable connection. This professor also encouraged me, saying that if I had such a strong sense of purpose and conviction, I should definitely pursue research. Both professors supported me by writing recommendation letters for my PhD applications, and that's how I got to where I am now. So, to answer the question of why I chose this path, it was a necessary choice for me to live, and to answer why I was able to choose it, it was because of the people who supported my conviction when I was at my weakest. Coincidentally, they were both Fulbrighters. My experience as a Fulbrighter over the past year is just a beginning chapter of what will be a long PhD journey, but so far, the empirical approach of American sociology is very new to me. And after immersing myself in it for the past year, I feel that I can now view the same issues from a slightly different perspective than I did a year ago. While my answers inevitably become sociological, I have been fortunate to receive university education in Japan, the UK, and the US, 3 different countries. Changing countries and societies brings significant changes to what is considered the assumptions and standards of the same discipline. Before coming here, my education had cultivated a habit of thinking about research topics on a philosophical and abstract level. This kind of thinking is essential for discussing the particularities of racism between societies with different histories and socioeconomic conditions. However, now, not only do I rely on my basic thinking style, but I also have more perspectives by utilizing empirical insights. For instance, discriminatory behavior is the result of a complex interplay of various dimensions. Philosophical thinking tends to focus on higher level concepts such as history, ideology, law, social systems, and the media discourse. In contrast, empirical methods enable more granular analysis. Research on prejudice in social psychology has been particularly striking to me. It's surprising that I, who once believed the violence of quantification, now find empirical research fascinating. In the US, I have learned that there are unique aspects revealed through numbers and statistical analysis. I am excited to see how I can develop my research by mixing this new perspective with the philosophical base I have built up so far. Regarding the role mentorship or guidance from Fulbright alumni played in my career, as I mentioned in my story about why I chose this career, I was able to make this choice because of the people who supported my convictions during my weakest moments, and these individuals happen to be the Fulbrighters. Regarding the work-life balance, I have my rule to wake up early and complete important tasks in the morning. I generally want to use my evenings after dinner to enrich my life than doing the work. Of course, this isn't always possible, especially during the busy times. Even if I can't always follow it, I believe it's important to have my own rule that defines an ideal version of me. When I was working at a company, I noticed that some people spent all their time working, even if they had families. There seemed to be a narrative that this was how it should be, but I felt this was a distorted way of working, sacrificing quality time or relying on someone's sacrifice. I don't want to sacrifice anyone, and also I believe that valuing quality life as a human being enriches my sociological perspective on society. Therefore, I aim to maintain balance. About the changes I would like to see in the future, perhaps because I'm a woman, an ethnic minority, and a first generation university student, I hope that fewer people feel the sense of I don't belong here that I sometimes feel. Focusing particularly on women, it was common in Japan in situations like interviews or seminars, which involve the power asymmetry, that all the people I'm facing are men. Although I'm now pursuing a career as a researcher in academia, I never thought as a child that I could become a researcher. Scholars always had the male image, and I didn't like Japanese academic books written in that gendered context because they didn't feel like my words. However, I experienced a series of continuous luck in educational settings. As I mentioned before, my mentor in university was a Fulbright woman, and my alma mater had many wonderful female professors. So it was only after when I finished my undergraduate education and my master's in London and when fully stepped out into Japanese society that I remembered that mild sense of exclusion, a sense of I don't belong here, that existed in the Japanese society. I don't think I can instantly change the oppressive structures that subtly tighten around me due to the various labels society imposes on me, like a woman. I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I'm a realist and want to think about what can be done realistically. I believe that the gradual accumulation of individual stories can drive progressive change. That's why I think this interview series is a great initiative. if someone watching this video receives even a bit of the encouragement I once received from my predecessors, there is nothing more rewarding.